Welcome to Message Reveal. Message Reveal identifies a vibe, a message, or a story told through lyrics of a song. But before we get started, you guys know how I do. I take time to give you a few points about our special guest. Well, let me tell you some few things. One, he is a native of Las Vegas. We love our natives. Yeah. Two, he's a teacher. And three, last but not least, he is a mentor for Gentlemen by Choice. And we'll find out more information about that. So please put your hands together and welcome my friend, Mr. Antanus Pullum.
What up, my people? What's going on? What's going on, States girl?
Nothing much. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we both come from the States. Yay!
Tell me recognize that shirt, baby.
Yes, you are representing to the highest, So, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm blessed. I woke up this morning. It's a beautiful Saturday in North Las Vegas.
Yes. And if you don't mind telling us where you are, because the background, I love it. If you just don't mind mentioning it.
Oh, I'm at CSN, College of Southern Nevada, down at a minority business economic summit.
And which location?
Oh, Charleston, the Shine campus, North Las Vegas, baby.
Yes, there we go. Well, I'm just happy you said yes to me. I'm thankful. I appreciate you. And we're going to get this rocking and rolling. So I always ask my guests this one particular question. What makes your blood boil? What gets you started?
When adults don't do what they say they're going to sign up to do when it comes to educating our children.
I like that.
Human, like lava hot.
Accountability.
Absolutely.
I love that. I definitely love that. So, as I mentioned at the very beginning, I talked about being a Las Vegas native. I also talked about you being a teacher. So, if you can tell me a little bit how long you've been teaching and some of the benefits of, from your perspective, of teaching our babies.
Okay. I've been in education for 27 years. Always taught on quote unquote what they call the West Side. So kids see me, or our students see me, or scholars, whatever you want to call them. They see me outside of the classroom. So they see me in the neighborhood. So there's a different connection, a different bond. They see me as human. I'm humanized.
Yes.
Teachers and students don't have a connection because teachers aren't transparent.
I love it. Oh, I'm sorry.
I love what I do. I wanted to be a lawyer. I thought that was my calling, to be a lawyer, make a lot of money. But hey, God had another plan.
Well, you know what? We're thankful. We have to have many different people in our community pouring into our children, because at the end of the day, they will be the ones that's taking care of us. And if we don't give them what they need, they will create it. And sometimes it may not always. I think our children are brilliant. I think they have the tools to be amazing, but we still have to give them that foundation so they can grow up and have that respect for us.
Right. That's why we have to put the right people in front of them.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. So before we even go into that, I know you and I had a conversation, and I love music. Music has turned me all the way out in a good way, So I say that because I have a question for you. And my question is, I need you to identify a lyric of a song that either has blessed you, given you perspective, or distracted you. But before you give me the answer, there's rules to this. If you can sing, I need you to sing your throat box out.
No, girl.
If you can rap, I need you to come hard in the paint. But if you cannot do those, one last thing, you have the opportunity to say it with passion, say it 10 toes down, and give it to us real. So, going back to my original question, are you able to provide lyrics that have blessed you, distracted you, or given you perspective in life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Michael Jackson, The Man in the Mirror. Make that
Woo!
change. That's my mantra right there. Every morning I look in the mirror before I leave. Once I get dressed, I have a mirror in my closet, and every morning hey, the man in the mirror, no one else.
Yes.
It takes the man in the mirror, and am I gonna make that change? And so that gets me really inspired. What change can I make today?
Yes, I love that. That's a good one. I think somebody else mentioned that. And for me, that particular song will never be outdated. It will never go
Mhm.
old because when it's all said and done, it's about you making that change, the man in the mirror, and how you see life and what you're willing to do to change to make sure you can have a better life.
And what's funny though, back in high school, my senior year, on the way to chaperone for our football games, when I was driving in the Amps Niece. People who know me know what the Amps Niece is. I would play that song and I would get pumped up for football games. Like, oh, make that change. And like, oh, I'm gonna hit some. He talked about peace and love. I'm talking about taking somebody's head off. But that used to
Also,
get me
you was
pumped up.
saying you was that
Hey,
beast.
yeah, I was like, hey, the man in the mirror, and we're gonna make that change. I'm gonna hurt somebody. I'm gonna hit somebody. But now it's on a different spectrum. I'm gonna make that change and help somebody.
I like that. But it's funny. I always say this about songs. As you mature or you look at life different, it comes across with different meanings or different perspective. So I like that you gave us both sides of the coin.
Mhm.
So let's talk about your gentleman by choice. What was the impetus for you to be a part of it to get started, and what change have you seen by providing this mentor services to the young men, and why it's needed?
So I started back at when I was at a dean at Agassiz in the elementary setting, and they had some they had a club for some girls, young girls, and the boys were asking like, "Hey, what is it for us?" But also we've seen a lot of our boys getting in trouble. And being a dean, I would see them come through the office, and I would sit and talk to them, but they didn't have the skills to navigate the classroom because 80% of our classrooms across the country make up women. And I want to say like 75% make up white women. So there's such a I'm gonna say such, but there can be and often tends to be a disconnect of our boys of color, specifically black boys and white female teachers. And so they were getting written up and I wouldn't suspend them and the teachers would get upset with me. I'm like, hey, do your job. You will have this problem. And so my partner and I started Gentlemen by Choice. It was called Agassiz Gen Stand. And um, he's from the military and I'm in the education background. He was a counselor there. And we just put it together. We got like-minded people with us. Our boys are struggling. They're still struggling.
Yes.
Everybody wants to be seen and heard. And if we don't allow them to be seen and heard, they're going to find a way to be seen and heard. And it might not be the way that we want them to be seen and heard. And we called it Gentlemen by Choice because everything you do is a choice. And I mean, there's some choices that I'm not proud of. I just happen to be blessed that it didn't get me caught up. And
Mm-hmm.
so, if we use Frederick Douglass' quote, it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And
Mm.
so we know there are a lot of broken men, and then the broken men continues the cycle. If children are in households with broken men, and think about those who are even in households with men in general, let alone broken men. So see how that it layers itself?
Yeah.
And so our goal is and what we've done a really great job of, building relationships. I'm big on relationships with the students, and then building a relationship with parents, and then like I said again, being transparent of showing being vulnerable as a man. Real men cry,
Yes.
and so we have our pillars are we teach life skills, and most people say that, but I'm an acronym person. So L is for leadership. We show what leadership looks like, and the beautiful thing about it is we go out into the community and get people who are leaders that look like them. And then I is image, we teach them how to iron their shirts, wear a tie, bow tie, not the clip on, the real one where you pop it, we teach them that, how to dress. There's a thing called a gate line when you wear your tie, your belt buckle, and your zipper needs to match up. It needs to line up. That's called the zip line. Not the zip line, the gate. And then, just how you look, how you present yourself. And then we talk about financial literature, being literate in finance. And then we do etiquette training, where we teach them how to eat, how to use your spoon, fork, your napkin, push in chair, thank you, welcome, the manners. And then what we do is that we go to a restaurant and we practice that real world application. And then at the end of the year, we do a black and white tie gala where the boys wear their tux. Back then, now we have girls, ladies by choice. So now they wear the dresses. Parents come dressed up. So we give them that, that full, well-rounded exposure of how to eat at a 5-star spot. And so at the end of the day, I mean, it's about exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Exposure. And we get people who are in that profession to come in and share, what it takes to get there. When we first started, it was called, from our mantra again was from the classroom to the boardroom. And at GBC's headquarters, we have a board table, a table, that you would see in the boardroom. And we sit them around and we have those conversations. Like, this is what it means to be, sitting at the head of the table, because a lot of us don't get to sit at the head of the table. But if they see it and we expose them to it, then it's like, okay, I can do it. And then I will do it.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you pulled out the piece. So I'm a big proponent. I've worked directly and indirectly with children all my life. And one thing I always say, and I've never stopped saying this, exposure and engagement is the first process. You got to expose them to it and then give them the experience of engagement. Those two really go hand in hand with anything, and then everything else falls into place. So I'm really happy to hear that you even mentioned that particular part. Now let me.
Hold on. Then we take one even further. We have empower too. So that if you come to our building, it says that on our wall, and then we empower them. Then we sit back and let them do. So the last 2 years at our gala has been ran by the students. Like, they get up, get on the MC, get up on the stage and MC it and run the whole show. So the last 2 years, we've been able to sit back. But again, it's exposure. It's showing them this is how you do it now. Now go do it. And then we sit back and watch it. That's how you learn. So, now these kids aren't afraid to get up and speak in front of 300 people, 400 people.
That's right. I think that's absolutely wonderful. And we have to continue to pour into our babies. It is so necessary. It's a must. With that being said, have you had parents, fathers, teachers come back for a child that have went through your program and told you about the impact? A lot of times people talk about data. Okay, absolutely. We know data is necessary, but impact goes, yes, it does. It brings in the money. However, impact, in my view, can bring generational cycles. It can absolutely give you a long-term view. So can you talk a little bit about children that have came back and told you what the impact has been for them?
Absolutely. I get a text or a call every day, like relationships. Like I said, I'm down here at CSN. I'm down here with Kenya Weekly. I taught Kenya in second grade. Kenya is what, 26, maybe 27?
Wow.
Just again, those relationships. We have our OG, we call them OG, the original gents. They're juniors in college. One is at St. John, one who goes here to CSN. Really smart. Matter of fact, 2 years ago, they emceed the gala. It was incredible. I get texts all the time like, thank you for helping my child. We have students who are at colleges for free, and they said, hey, thank you. And, the students, the one thing I love about teaching elementary is that I built relationships, and I'm still, we're still in relationships now, and they're in their, late teens, early 20s. And so, parents, we get it all the time. But to see a student, he He got a 32 on his ACT.
Wow.
And as soon as he got it, he texted me. It's like, Mr. Pullum, look at my score. Hey, thank you for
Wow.
doing X, Y, and Z. Like we get those all the time. And for me, I think our weakness and our strength with Gender by Choice is we don't do it for the selfies, the likes. We don't do it for that. And sometimes that'll hurt us because we're not really pushing it. I just do it. I'm a more behind the scenes person. Like I teach them, mentor, whatever you want to label it. And then I step back and let them shine. It's about them. It's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but when the students, oh my goodness, this is beautiful. I have a student right now. She's a teacher, and I know she's not part of GBC, but I've always been mentoring. Even before I was a mentor with GBC, I've had parents give me things like a mentor for life. They saw what I was doing in the classroom. I got a student now. I taught her in second and third grade. She's working on her master's program. She's a teacher. We went out last week for breakfast, and she tells folks, she said, Mr. Pullum, with my whole chest sticking out, my whole hearted chest sticking out, I tell Mr. Pullum is my favorite teacher. He's the best teacher ever.
Oh.
My kids, I text them for their birthdays. They text me for my birthdays. They call me the GOAT, which I am the GOAT. Hey, I'm the GOAT at this. I don't care. Nobody say I'm the GOAT at this.
That's right.
And,
Claim it.
and I'm the GOAT. And no one can do what I can do in the classroom. I don't care what nobody say. And so, but
Yes.
again, the relationships and man, it's beautiful. Absolutely. And this is the thing. I get a text or Jack and I get a text or email or call every single day. Matter of fact, when I get off the phone with you, I got to call two parents back. One kid is in second grade and one is in fifth grade. Like they're reaching out for help.
Mm. And the ones that you feel like are reaching out for help, is it because they feel like no one initially hears them? Like their environment doesn't see them. Like they see them, but they don't see them.
I think it's the school environment that doesn't see them. Teachers label kids again that bias, and so we get labeled from the classroom, and then teachers
Mm-hmm.
talk. Teachers be like, "Oh, you got Johnny or Susie? Oh, good luck to you." So now I'm back in my mind. I'm already treating them as they are disruptive kids.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs a fresh start. And one thing in education, you can't be rigid. You can't hold grudges from the next minute to the next, especially the next day to the next day. And so for me, I'll get on the kid head right then and there, and I'm back to hey, laughing and funny. You have to strip them down, but build them back up. And a lot of teachers strip down and never, ever, ever, never build up. And so
Yeah.
kids don't like school, and there's a reason why. There are some classes that I walk into that I'm like, I wouldn't want to be in this class.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not just speaking at where I work. I'm just speaking in general, the classrooms I've been around, the city. And then I hear, kids the young adults and the kids talk to me. They're like, Mr. Pullum. And so people tend to gravitate towards people who care for them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in school and out of school.
Absolutely. Well, I always say this, adult or children, go where you are loved. A lot of times we're in spaces that it's not for us. With children, we know they have to be at school, so they may not have that choice. So sometimes parents they don't know how to advocate for themselves, so they don't know how to advocate for their children. So it comes into play with programs like yours and many others where they can go in and advocate and say, wait a minute, this child just needed this. Why aren't you providing that and holding these teachers or the system accountable for what they're not doing? And it's simply just changing little small things to accommodate the child's learning.
It becomes a cookie cutter approach.
Mm-hmm.
Like the kids have to adjust to my teaching style versus me adjusting to their learning style.
Mm.
And to be fair though, I mean, I'm not. It's tough, and so you have to be, you have to be, you have to be about business. And though the more they put on teachers, teachers are frustrated and tired, and so I feel for what they're saying. But my thing is, you signed up for this, so once you cross that threshold, you got to put on your game face and go in the paint hard, and
Yeah.
some of them don't. And then that's my frustration though. Like I'm in the paint hard, and it becomes my normalcy is their high ceiling.
Mm.
And that frustrates me. Like they're like, "Oh, you're doing this. You're such a wonderful blah blah blah," and that's every day. It's and so it's just yeah, anyway. I could talk about this for hours. So
No, no, I definitely get that. And let's shout out because there's so many wonderful teachers that
oh, absolutely,
are doing their thing. They're going over and beyond what the expectations are. And one, the real thing is they have a love for what they do in spite of what they don't have. So all those wonderful
absolutely.
teachers that my children have had, teachers that I've had, teachers that you know, shout out to you. We want to give them a clap, clap.
And what we don't do, and we need to do a better job of, even in the school district, you don't really hear any positive things about the school district. There are a lot of things that are going on in the school district are very positive. We have
Yes.
some really great schools. We have some really great teachers.
Mm-hmm.
We have some really great administrators. We have some really great support staff. We have some phenomenal students, but
Yes.
we don't talk about that. And so therefore, if all you hear is negative, 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 and I'm working in these spaces that I'm like, hey, it just, the morale in the district is low right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so people feel that. But man, just that Fitzgerald alone, man, we have, when I say some incredible students, oh my goodness, incredible. Absolutely. Incredible.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible.
Well, again, I believe in supporting teachers. I have to give a shout out. My daughter is 13 years old now. Her teacher, her kindergarten teacher, was named Miss McDowell. Every year, I've came back to the school. I've provided something for her for the winter break and for teacher appreciation because that woman has been a catalyst throughout the years. Even though she only had her one particular year, she still supported, she encouraged me. She was just a wonderful teacher. I still celebrate her to this day. She retired this year, and I will
Bless
continue
her.
to celebrate
Woo.
her.
I can't wait. Woo.
Well, I will continue to celebrate Miss McDowell. Her first name is Miss Virginia McDowell. She was over at Wilhelm, but I will
Yeah.
continue to celebrate that woman because she works hard and she did such a phenomenal job. And I shout out her. So that just not her, all the teachers that are in that lane that have a love for what they do. So, with that being said, let's get back to music. Music. Was my voice? I saw you go like this. Music. So, I have a question for you. When you were a child, you enjoyed a particular song. I mean, you was mm, and then you became an adult and you realized you go, wait 1 minute. That song said this, and I was singing that the whole time. Can you identify a song lyric that you can think of that has that
Patty LaBelle,
transition?
I can tell you the song Patty LaBelle's Lady in Marmalade.
Oh, that's a good one. I
Hey,
didn't know either.
hey, woo!
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's such a catchy song. You go,
Yes, you could, yeah, yeah, and then plus what was they sang it in French, so you just singing with the lyrics, not knowing what they saying, and then
yes.
you look it up and like, ooh,
So, what did you look up for my audience? Tell it what it's all about.
hey, he getting his groove on. Hey, she was like, hey, hey, it was basically like a soft porn song. Hey, but hey, I can relate to that because hey, sorry, back in the day, yeah, it was crazy. Hey, he was, hey, can you get, hey, and he's like, I'm gonna give it to you. Yeah, it was
Hmm.
it was it was crazy.
Yes, yes. And you enjoyed it as a child because the music was popping, it was
Yeah,
catchy, and you were singing and
yeah,
not knowing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the French part. And then you look it up, and as an adult, like man, because I didn't even back then. It took me a while to really understand, and then I didn't even have to look it up. I was like, well,
Yeah.
what is she saying in French? And I was like, okay, dang. Yeah, I could hear you.
Oh, okay. I can hear you. You sound like a slow motion robot.
Hey, they didn't like what we were saying about Patti LaBelle's son.
Maybe that's what it was. But we love some Patty. Say my name, Patty Patty.
Have you been to one of her concerts?
I have, and I absolutely enjoyed it. I've actually been to 3 different concerts.
Yeah, I went to one. She throwing her shoes everywhere.
Yes, she throw her shoes and she gets down and she does the thing. That's to
Yeah.
me like her signature thing. And at the
Mm.
very end, I don't know how often you've seen it, but she always do the somewhere over the rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I definitely love that. I've seen her at the Venetian. I've seen her out at the State Line and one more other place, but each time I've enjoyed the whole show.
I
So
can't say the Venetian. Venetian, that's a lot of money. That's not in my budget.
what?
So I don't have that city money like you.
Oh, nah. I was invited. I was a guest of someone.
Okay.
But with that being said, so we all have our ups and our down. The Bible says, and I'm not a big Bible thumper, it says the rain falls on the just and the unjust. And with that being said, you may have a time where your spirit is truly low. And with that being said, no one is available to encourage you. Not your mom is not available, your friend is not available, your brother is not available. And you must, when I say must, you must encourage yourself. Can you provide a song that has picked your spirit up when you're down?
Mm, Sam Cooke. The change is gonna come.
Mm,
I actually was in DC 2 years ago at a called NASB, National Association of Black School Educators. I went to the African American Museum, and they have in the rain room, they have his name with that song, and I took a selfie with that and Dr. King's quote. Yes,
mm.
yeah, that's it right there.
So how often, so say, okay, yeah, you still represent states,
I'm
but
just, making sure.
how often do you use that song, or is that just something that you just particularly when you went on this trip, you said, okay, this is my mantra now?
No, it's no. I look at the world and I listen to a plethora of music from all country to jazz to you name it. And it's just, we need a change. We
Yes.
really do. And
Yeah.
so I believe the work that I'm doing and the work that God allows me to do, that I'm making some change. Like Tupac said it best. I'm a spark. I might not see the change itself, but I'm gonna spark the mind that help creates that change.
Yes. I like that. And it's very true. It's definitely very true. Now, I have a question, and I need you to really think about this. Give me who is your one of your favorite artists. And
I
I
have to think
say
about it.
that,
I don't have to think about it. I tell you,
oh,
hey, Andre. Okay, go ahead.
no, go ahead. You say you ain't got to think about it. Give it to me.
3,000 stacks. Andre 3,000. Come on, man.
And why? Tell me why.
That again, very eclectic, very versatile. I loved his growth from Southern playlistic like funky music to now he playing the flute. But his
Yes.
lyrics are incredible, absolutely
Yes.
incredible. So I vibe with that. Like I'm an outcast. To me, I think they're the best rap group ever. But Andre 3,000 stacks. I mean, Tupac is my dude. I think he's number one in my book,
Mm-hmm.
just the overall. But you know, I Stack just yeah, his stacks is just Pac takes you he could talk about love, and then he can talk about shooting you. I'm more of like conscious rap, things that are gonna uplift us, and just to see his transformation. And I grew up, even though Pac and I are the same age, he transitioned, early in life. But just to follow Outkast, and yeah, that he's incredible.
Yeah.
And then on the movie screen, like Tupac was that too, but just on the movie screen, he just is. And he's very humble. He's not loud. People understand when you loud, you're really not making a lot of noise. When you quiet and sit still, that's when you really make a lot of noise. So I think his stillness for me makes a lot of noise that attracts people. And so, I vibe like that. But my dude overall, like my overall is Tupac. But I want to talk about Stacks today.
Yeah. I like that. Andre 3000. I like that he forms his own lane, no matter what
Absolutely.
it is. And I think that is encourages a lot of times people are scared to be their self. And he's a prime example of doing what he likes. I think he talked about on a recent interview when they talked about him doing, hey, yeah. You remember he did that and he said
Yeah,
his voice was like, man, they gonna cancel you.
right.
But because he had his own view, he did it. And look where it took him.
I think because he has such a strong following, and you got to have people who support you. Like for me, my mom and dad gave me that lane. I remember when, back then getting your ears pierced wasn't a cool thing, for boys. And I remember I got my ear pierced and my mama never saw it. I would always have it wrapped up when I took a shower, I'd wrap it up, or she just never saw it. When I was driving, she was always on my right side. I had my left ear pierced. And she saw it one day we were going to an appointment and she saw the reflection in the building and she was livid. Oh, she was hot. And we came home and she told my daddy, like, yeah, that boy got his ear pierced. And this is what my daddy said verbatim. My daddy said, I don't care if he wearing pink panties and high heels. That's still my son, and I love him.
That
And guess
part.
what? And guess what? The
What?
very next week, went to the right side. Doo doo.
Oh, you too much. Take a what they said, give an inch, take a mile. You took a
Hey,
mile.
but this is what's funny though. My mama said several years later, she's like, I never thought I'd be asking my son if he has a back to an earring. She's like, hey, do you got a back to an earring? I lost my back. I was like, mm-hmm. But John McEnroe has a poster. Do you know who John McEnroe is?
Is he plays tennis?
He played tennis. He
Yes.
he was he was not the norm in tennis. Tennis was very still and white, very quiet. Shh. John McEnroe came through cursing, throwing racks, and the whole nine. And he has a poster. It's a Nike poster I have, and it says "Rebel with a Cause." He's in New York with the trench coat, and I live like that. Like in Chaparral, I used to wear two different color shoes. I used to wear bowling shoes to school. Like
Mm.
if I liked it, I wore it. But my
Mm-hmm.
mom gave me permission in the sense, not saying, "Hey, you can go wear it," but she gave me permission that within love self first,
Yes.
and then I didn't care what anybody said.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was young, when I was in the third grade, I remember this like it was yesterday. People used to talk about the color of my skin. They used to call me, Darth Vader, cockroach, just the whole,
What?
you know, oh yeah, oh, I used to get it. But my mom said, baby, she's like, she called me black gold. You my black gold.
I
I was
love
not,
that.
she's like, I wouldn't trade you in for $1 million.
Mm.
And hey, then hey, my confidence grew. I was like, shoot, I'm black gold. And hey, and again, like I say, I was doing it.
I love that. Let's talk about you and I have had several conversations offline. And one of the things that always, or the part of the conversation is always about your mother and your love for your mother. Can you just talk a little bit about your mom and give her a shout out? Because you are definitely a mama's boy in a good way. And I love men that respect their mother and go the extra mile for their mom. So can you just tell us a little bit about your mom?
Hey, I'm the president of Mama's Boy Club. And the reason I love her so hard is because she loved me. And she loves me. She loved and still continues to love me unconditionally. And I don't know about anybody else's mom, but man, my mom is the dopest mom. She treats everybody. Her love for people taught me to love people, no matter
Mm,
the race, color, how they work. Like when she was younger, she worked for DDC, the state that had disability, folks with disabilities, and she used to bring them to the house. And so I got to just know people, and she, don't treat people how you want to be treated. People say that, but do people actually audit themselves to do that work?
Mm.
And so she's like, hey, you have to treat people how you want to be treated. And people know as Aunt Gert, and people used to say this, man, I wish, your mama was my mom. And I'm like, nah, y'all don't, y'all see Gert. I see mama. Nah, y'all think y'all want her. But just her love for people. And then, the love that she had for the family. She was the youngest of 14.
Wow.
And so for her to be the strong one of the family, even though she's the baby, people love, my mama because she was a consistent, like she was a solid, consistent, just a lovable person. She didn't drink, she didn't smoke, she didn't curse, she did none of that. And I'm sure she won't mind me sharing this, but she's taught me to be very humble. People think I'm cocky, and I used to be very confident. I still walk that line. I don't shy away from it. But she's taught me to be humble in the later years and just respect the small things. My mom was born with one kidney.
Oh.
And so in 98, she was diagnosed with kidney failure. My mom's been on dialysis for 24 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 24 years. That's unheard of. And then she got her leg amputated her toe amputated in 19, and then her leg amputated. And at one time she was saying, nah, I'm good. Just let me go. He was like, no, that's not gonna happen. So Chancellor was at the hospital with her, and he texted me, he's like, Aunt Gert said she's gonna have the operation. So she had the operation. She was in rehab for 5 months. No, not 5 months. Let me take that back. She was in rehab for 3 months. But just to see the tenacity that my mama had, going to dialysis and still having to rehab, and so I took time off and just to be with my mom and watch her do the things that she did, I was like, I have no excuse.
Mm.
None, none, none. And we were sitting in the driveway, and I was mad. I was mad at God. I'm like, why my mama doesn't drink, she don't curse, she don't, like, she loves people. Like, why my mama? I mean, I was pissed. And I'm being honest, I know some asshole mamas. Like, for real, for real. And then I was like, Mama, don't you get mad? And just in her subtle way, she looked over at me, she said, baby, what good would it do? I can't get my leg back. And all that
Mm.
just
Mm.
and just lifted up. And my mama good, I'm good.
Yes.
And
Wow.
so and so what we do now, we do a thing on every Tuesday called Tranquil Traveling Tuesdays. Well, when I get off work, I pick her up and we just go wherever she wants to go.
Oh,
And so
I
we just
love
yeah,
it.
we and she really looks forward to it. And so and then when I bring her home, she'll be like, hey, where we going next week? Wherever you want to go.
That is
So yeah.
wonderful. That is wonderful. You're teaching someone or showing someone that it is okay to carve time out of your life to support your parents. I think
You
it's
get
needed and necessary.
you get one mama. I
Hmm.
mean, you can't get that time back.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and so when we left the event Thursday, she went to work with me.
You said you were taking her to work, but I
Yeah,
thought you were joking.
no, we went to work. And
Wow.
so we went to work, and then we were in the cafeteria, and I was introducing she's been up there before, and I was introducing the kids. I was like, it was the third, fourth, and fifth graders. And I was like, hey, this is Mrs. Pullum. Say, hey, Mrs. Pullum. Everybody, hi, Mrs. Pullum. And I said, hey, when you go home today, you make sure you hug your mom and tell them you love them. And I said, I'm gonna be an example. I'm gonna show you what that looks like. And I reached down, kissed her, gave her a hug. And then
Mm.
the counselor was there, and she took a picture of it. It was nice. And
Oh.
so, my mama. If people didn't know my mama was on dialysis, they wouldn't know. Because when she say let's go, or people say let's go, she wants to go.
But I love the care when you were at the event on Thursday and you had to go to the restroom and you took the coat and pulled it up just right because she said she was a little cold. And you guys are just like in lock in step, and it's such a
Yeah,
beautiful thing. I believe in, her sacrifice. You probably have some idea, but really no idea, and that what you're doing is giving back to her the love that she's provided for you.
absolutely. And you know what's funny though is people, oh, you're such a great son. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? That's my mama.
Yes.
And then she'll say, people are like, oh, you have a good son. She's like, I have a great son.
Oh,
She's like, I love my son. Yeah, we have a special, and people will say, man, you guys have a special relationship. I mean, that's my mama.
yes.
And so I don't know any other way.
Yes.
So,
I
so
think it's a
I appreciate that.
I think it's really a beautiful thing, and I love to showcase the beauty of son mother relationship and mother son relationship and father relationship. So I'm a big believer of the family setting, how it may or may not look, but the love that's provided, we need to display it on the highest level.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I talk about my mama so much because, my dad passed away uh, in 2014.
Mm,
And people don't realize though, if my parents were married for 42 years before he passed, and their bond was getting just stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. When men young, they do what they do, and it takes a strong woman to to hold on, and she held on, and the blessings was absolutely incredible. My dad was a phenomenal man. He had his mask. His mask was alcohol. And I like the fact when he drank, he would open up and talk. But when he didn't drink, he didn't talk because his dad didn't show him that.
mm,
And that's that that generational curse.
yes.
And so once he stopped drinking, what's funny though, Halim, is that I stopped drinking in '93 and he stopped drinking in '93.
Wow.
And then he almost got like pregnant. He started eating so much his stomach. I'm like, Daddy, you were just 6 months pregnant on me? But he didn't know how to talk, so we had to like show him. My
Wow.
siblings and then I kissed my daddy on my cheek one day. My mama broke down and cried. She's like, "Oh my babies," because
Wow.
he was in the household with a bunch of women. He had 5 of them in there. Bless his heart.
Well,
And
he
so,
he knew what was up with women.
yeah, yeah, it was just a great relationship. And my dad and I literally we could sit and watch a football game and not talk to each other, but it was just the presence of being with him. He didn't say a lot, but when he spoke, it was very, very, very profound.
Wow.
But he
Well,
talked a lot to my mom.
and that's good. I think that part needs to be said too. A lot of times we think we have to be entertained. Again, like you said before, just sitting in the presence of someone can speak volumes as well, just given that
Absolutely.
time. So my personal thing on this platform, anytime a parent or anyone that's mentioned has passed on, I ask my guests to say their name, because if you don't,
Oh,
one, they pass a physical death, but a spiritual death if we don't say their first and last name. So can you
oh,
say that?
oh yeah. James Oliver Pullum.
All right. Yay.
And
Thank you.
that's a powerful name. Pullum. That's a legacy name right there.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Pullum. So before we get out of here, I have one more question for you. And this is regarding music. So when I say I love high energy music, I love crowd participation. And 9 times out of 10, when you see a crowd participate, I mean, it's all good. For example, you see people say, Happy birthday to you. Everybody is amped. You may have someone that don't even know you, and they're like, they participate in it. So I say all that to say, can you identify a song that either had high participation from you, or you were watching a crowd and they had high participation? You're like, oh, I love that.
Oh, Black Sheep. This or that.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that by a Tribe Called Quest?
No, that's Black Sheep. The
That's,
Native Tongue family. It was
oh,
Tribe, Black Sheep, De La Soul, that Native Tongue, Brand
oh,
Nubian. You can get with
yes.
this or you can get with that. Engine number
Number
9
nine,
on
go.
the New York Transit line. If the train goes off the track, pick it
Pick it
up,
up,
pick it
pick it
up,
up,
pick it
pick it
up.
up.
Back on the scene.
Yeah.
Oh man, woo! Hey, everybody knees hurt going down.
Yeah, this was before Megan, you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good one. Yes, right on. Well, listen, I have had a phenomenal time talking to
Hey, you
you.
you you done with me? We only 45 minutes in. I thought you said we was doing this for an hour. I'm all geeked
Well,
up.
this is around this time, but we're still not done. I still have to
Oh,
give
okay.
you, see,
Okay.
look how you do me. Look how you do me, States boy. But before we get out of here, I always like to have my guests provide any social media platforms, any events you have going on, and tell us maybe if we have someone that wants to get in touch with you to have their children in the Gentleman by Choice program. So anything you'd like to provide.
So what do we have? So during Super Bowl week, uh, and I was about to say Alima, Sheena sent it out, Sheena Mitchell, but I was introduced to a guy who's over Immersive City, and they're doing a lot of events during the Super Bowl week for people 13 up until 56. And they'd have to go to, I'd have to screenshot it to you and give it to you, the actual email address.
Okay.
That's what's going on. But to get in touch with us, you can just go to our website, gentlemanbychoice.org. Again, gentlemanbychoice, all one word.org, and hit us up. And also we have Ladies by Choice.
Mm,
So Gentlemen by Choice, and then we have Ladies by Choice. Because there was a need as well for the ladies, because again, we got to get both sides of the coin right.
yeah, definitely.
Young ladies were saying, "Hey, we're missing out, especially in middle school."
Yeah.
We're in 10 schools, and what hurts us now, I don't want to say hurt, but I'm not so much involved in the day to day because I'm working at a school, and so my partner Jack, he's able to go into the schools. We're going to be in 10 schools, serving over 300 kids.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
but we need help. If people want to volunteer, we need help. Everybody, it look good when the camera's rolling, but when you have to do the work, you know,
Yes,
your event that happened Thursday was incredible, but people don't understand the work put behind it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
But then they can reach out. They can reach out and then leave their information in. And then I'm at the building. We have a building off of Owens called Gentleman by Choice. We call it the headquarters, 1016 in West Owens, and I tutor and mentor. But this is the caveat: I charge, because this is what I've learned, Lima, and this is sad, is that our community, and I'm speaking from experience, don't appreciate free.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh,
They
you
really
talking
don't.
some good stuff. I agree
They
100%.
they really don't appreciate free. And then when you put a number on it, then like, oh, there must be some value. But there's value coming from me because as I like to spend time with my mom, and I tell folks my time is valuable, and you can't get it back. Now, if you're serious about it, let's go. And if you're not serious about it, then let's not go. I don't want to waste your time. Don't waste my time. Don't waste your money, because I don't
Mm,
need the money. But again, my time is valuable. And
yeah,
so, people have said, hey, okay.
yeah.
Because you know what's crazy though? They'll pay they'll pay, this all this money to train their kids in basketball or football or baseball. But when it comes to helping self and then academia wise, because the data doesn't lie. The data says our boys, especially black boys, are struggling in reading and math, 3rd through 8th grade. But we spending a lot of time focusing on their basketball skills and football skills, and
Well, a lot
I
of
just
that I think it's because that has been the tunnel vision of how we can
absolutely.
succeed. It is many other ways to do it, but if that's the only way the parents may be aware of, then that's the only vision that the child may have. So I get it.
What
And oh, I'm sorry.
the media, yeah, you're right. The media does a great job of showcasing that. We have to do a better job of saying, hey, this is the truth right here.
But it's many ways, and to the point of you mentioning about it has to be some skin in the game. I do believe that we do have to. Sometimes it's not always about money. What are you willing to give? In, for example, are you willing to be there and donate some time or something? So it's not always about money, but you have to have some form of skin in the game, from my perspective, and that's just from experience. So, yeah. So before we get out of here, I just want to say thank you so very much for saying yes to me. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for asking me to be a part of this wonderful conversation.
Oh, I appreciate it. And before I get out of here, I always say this one, well, my little spiel. I talk about the journey and the destination. The journey is just as important as the destination. The journey is where we learn and grow. The destination is where we celebrate. I believe we all have to have that time to celebrate. But when it's all said and done, we need to get back into that journey and continue to learn, because that's a part of who we are, and we got to continue to grow as adults. So before I get out of here, just so you know, to my women, I bow, and to my men, I salute. So I'm going to salute you. And I love to give my audience or my guests the last words. So do you have any last words before we get out of here?
Yes. Two things that I take from my dad, who was a very wise man, even though he didn't have the papers hanging on the walls. And sometimes people who have papers hanging on the wall really shouldn't have papers hanging on the wall. But
Say
that's another
that.
day, another story.
Yes, that is, but that's the truth.
My dad said, "Son, you have two things," and and I'm far from perfect, but my goal is to live by these. He says, "Son, you have your name and you have your word."
Mm.
And he says, I'm proud of my name. I make sure, the goal is not to taint the Pullum legacy.
Yes.
And then your word. And so I'm learning to say, I'm not learning, I'm saying no, and no more in 24.
I
So
like that.
I'm gonna say there are gonna be a lot of no's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gonna be my word. No, 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 no. Because because people look at my mom, my mama, they come from different spectrums. My mom mentality was you have the trust and you lose it. My daddy's spectrum was you have to gain it. So I've always been in the middle. It depends,
Mm-hmm.
I decipher like, okay, they're good and then they can lose it, or no, you're gonna have to earn that. People have gotten away with a lot of Gert's grace
Mm.
because they're like, oh, that's Gert's son. Oh, he's nice. He won't do. But then so 24, they're gonna get a lot of my daddy.
Listen, do what
So
you got to do.
absolutely.
I say this: we got to be as powerful with our yeses as we are with our nos.
Yes, 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 and yes. And so you're gonna hear a lot of more no, no, and no.
Yes. Well, again, I thank you. Please, please, my audience, join me in giving Mr. Antanus Pullum a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. I'll see you out here in these Las Vegas streets.
All right, Stace girl, in your